Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Jane Say Matters with Roy. It's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day. And I'm so happy to be live here again on this channel. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for joining me again today. And today we have another guest speaker with us. Hmm. I'm sure you're very eager to meet him. Just wait. Don't go away. Stay tuned. And if you can see me clearly, if you can hear me audibly well, don't forget to share me out with your friends, your colleagues at work, and any other person you feel will benefit from today's interactive session. It promises to be a great one, fully loaded. Please stay tuned. And today, our guest speaker is, hmm, just wait, is someone who is a business strategist and a passionate entrepreneur. He plays practical investment management and advisory role in the formation and risk assessment of several brands. He is an economist with broad knowledge in energy and commodity trading, business risk analysis, and new venture creation. Today's guest speaker is presently serving as the operation lead of Folio Nigeria Limited, a commodity trading company where he facilitated a joint venture deal with a Washington, D.C. agro commodity company, Carbon Copia LLC. He is a tech enthusiast, which informed his participation in Nigeria tech ecosystem. He founded Fuelshare, a venture capital group that currently runs Rabi Farms and Rabi Food and Beverages. He co-founded Extrafin Investors and AtVolt Africa. He is also the founding member of Jonadel Logistics, now Jonadel Group, where he served as a board strategist. Furthermore, he is a member of Chartered Institute of Taxation, Nigeria. And lastly, he's happily married with kids. You see that our guest today is fully loaded and is really ready to answer every of your questions. So get ready to ask your questions, whatever are your concerns about the discussion for today. Get them ready, and for me to know that you are there with me, just say hello to me wherever you are. Say hello to me in the comment section and tell me where you're watching me live from today. Say hello to me and also write your questions. Drop them in the comment section. He is ready. Our guest speaker today is ready and willing to answer every of your questions pertaining to the discussion of today. All right, okay. Join me in welcoming Mr. Dayo Ogunseye. You're welcome, sir. We are very happy to have you today live on this platform. Thank you very much for the privilege to join us live today. You're highly welcome. All right.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Uh,
Hello.
hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, I can hear you very
Yes, I
well.
can clearly. Yes, I can clearly hear you.
Thank you very much. We're so happy to have you live with us on this platform. Thank you very much for the privilege, sir. Okay, for the sake of people
Thank
who
you
don't
so
know
much.
you,
I'm delighted. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
all right, you're welcome, sir. Sir, for the privilege of people who don't know you and people who would like to know what you do, what you are into, kindly introduce yourself briefly and tell us any other thing you would like us to know about you.
Okay, thank you. Just as our host has said, My name is Oladayo Israel Busheye. Um, I'm a Nigerian from Lagos State, and I'm an agripreneur, an entrepreneur. I have other businesses, but I'm passionate about agriculture. And of course, like she said earlier, I'm an economist. That is, and I'm a kingdom person. I love the Lord, and I like to do everything that pleases the Lord. Everything in my capacity. I mean, in my little capacity. So we are still learning the ropes. So that is just me. Um, in brief, I'm just your privileged guest today.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Sir, like you said, as an economist, you stated that you are an economist. Sir, can you briefly share with me and our viewers out there, as an economist, what really informs your interest in the agricultural sector? And can you also share with us what has been your experience so far?
Oh, thank you. I think I will start by saying economics is more or less like a calling, and you know, we what really matters to the economist is how the system works, how the economy runs, how our society fares. That is um, the allocation of resources, scarce resources, because there's an assumption that resources are scarce, you know, and we will believe that we would try to match resources with their uses. So, and of course, for my interest in agriculture, I have a long, I think it dates back to my background, my family background. Uh, my dad is still a farmer, though is uh, quite of age now, but is still very, very active in practice of agriculture. So I can say I was born into it. I was born into agriculture. I grew up knowing that there's been he's a cocoa merchant. So, and I think he's got flair for the practice of agriculture, not just the business of agriculture. Yes, he has his experience in the business of agriculture, but is a practitioner because I know he's got farms in few states around the nation, Nigeria here. So that really informs, I think that should speak to why I'm so passionate about agriculture. And of course, because I'm also very passionate about my well-being and the well-being of people around me. So I see agriculture as a science, and okay, you can call it an art too of cultivating the ground, crops, and everything that is plantable for food production, not just for production, but also for even medicine can be traced back to agriculture. In, so it's for general well-being, and that really informs my agricultural passion. That I really want to be interested in what keeps people going in life, especially food. How do we get these things right? When because what you eat determines how you fare in terms of maybe physical well-being. Now, it really matters what you eat. So if you're not careful what you eat, there's a probability that you can fall ill or be afflicted, so to speak. Uh, Thank you.
Oh, wow. So we can really say that the passion you have towards the well-being of others and even your own personal well-being is one of the things that um really made you to be interested in the agricultural field.
Yes, please. Yes.
Wow.
And of course, I also know that it's quite profitable, and it could also be a source of empowerment, not just for yourself, not just for your family, not but for people around you. I mean, you can imagine how important the agri sector is, from the primary sector to the secondary level, where you have the people producing the food, and what we call from farm to fork. In that value chain, there are so many people involved, there are so many players involved. So when you begin to think agriculture, you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the man that's going to take the produce, maybe transport logistics that will take the produce. I can imagine, like, for the past 1 year now, there's a particular driver that takes our produce to the market, and this guy is sure that he's going to make money almost on a weekly basis. So that's to tell you that even if not everything is going wrong in the transport sector, I mean, there are no passengers, nothing is happening there. Sure that this someone somewhere will call me, and that will put food on their table. And of course, the market women, and even the processing plants. So it's multifaceted, and I can tell you, aside the passion for the well-being of people in terms of what they eat and their welfare, I mean, this is how to get the society moving. This is how we get our society moving, by empowering people in the value chain.
Wow.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you very much, sir. So you said uh part of your interest in the agricultural sector is it being profitable. How profitable is it? Is it like something you will venture into and then you start making your cool cash immediately, or you have to wait for some time, or how profitable is it in the real sense of it?
Mm, thank you so much. Okay, let me just quickly say this. There's this saying that if you want to be successful in life, you have to think like a farmer. What does that mean? It means you must be patient. Patience is a virtue. So agriculture comes with a lot of patience. So just to answer your question, agriculture is very, very profitable or lucrative, as some people say. However, it must be in the best practice. For anything you are doing that you don't do well, or you don't follow the rules, for everything in life has its rules. So for agriculture, there are rules, and I mean there are practices, best practices guiding the flow of operation, maybe in the farm, or across the value chain. If you don't play, it's just like someone that wants to fly an airplane. You're a pilot, you want to fly an airplane. There are checklists that you must check before you get that plane in the air. If you don't check this list, man, yeah, it's more like a suicidal attempt. So that is the same thing for every business. It's not just peculiar to agriculture. So, but for agriculture, because it has a lot of it comes with it's a more like you are producing food. You must follow best practices. So in terms of profitability, it has something to do with it has a lot to do with productivity, because profitability in agriculture goes hand in hand with productivity. So it is how productive an hectareage of cultivated land is that determines how profitable that investment will be. So now for you to be productive, you must employ best practices. So, and that is why you must embrace knowledge. Knowledge is very key, diligence is very key, and I can tell you when you put all of this together, you are sure to make the most of your time and your investment in the space, in the agricultural space. It is very, very profitable when best practices are employed. That is, you have the right knowledge in terms of inputs, in terms of implements, and then the output will speak for itself.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I think I'll still revisit that maybe later in the discussion. Sir, in the last 1 year in Nigeria, we've discovered that there is a sudden increase in the price of food commodities. And this has really been a great concern to most families. And I would like to now ask you that um, can you tell us the reason behind these and also the present state of the agricultural sector in Nigeria and in Africa at large?
Hello? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Okay. What one thing we've seen food inflation rise from in May it was around 17.93%. Now I think it's around 22.72%. And one of the reasons why we have this food inflation is because number one, insecurity, and in Nigeria we have majority of our farmers in especially in some of the crisis prone areas, they are scared of going to their farms. They are scared of going to their farms because, and the reason is not far-fetched. The small older farmers, I think, accounts for about 80% of the average farming population. So if the small older farmer accounts for 80%, that is that these are people that they can't even protect themselves. So it means about 80%, or let's say about 60% now. Let's say about 20% have access to their farm because they're not in crisis prone areas. Then it means about 60 to about 50 to 60% are redundant. They don't have access to their farms. So it becomes then what does it mean? It means there's high demand and supply is insufficient. And that's what is responsible for increase in prices when the demand is so high and there's inadequate supply. So, and looking at these things, of course, it's a concern to everybody, not just for Nigerians in the diaspora, or it is a concern to all of us. What can we do to salvage the situation? Of course, number one, we have to see how God can help the security apparatus or the system to curb the menace and, of course, boost confidence in these farmers. However, there are so many things that can also be done. That in terms of improving, and I mean talking about the scale with which people are producing food. So improving on that scale, these are things that we can do. Currently, Africa at large, we have a great potential to be the world food basket. And I will speak in respect to my our experience in Nigeria. Nigeria is so huge. It will interest you that about in Africa currently, the trade deficit, the trade deficit has widened by about 689 billion dollars. I mean, and this is like because our we import. I think as at last year we imported about 3.3 trillion in food into the country. Then our our export was about 600 billion. So can you see the gap? That is agric exports being about 680 billion, then food imports about 3.35 trillion. That is a huge gap. So it means we are consuming so much than we are producing. So it means we need to get into active production. Active production. So, and it will interest you that Nigeria spent almost 22 trillion in 2019 alone on food. And when I say food, we're not just talking about crops. We're talking of animal uh, food like chicken, fish, livestock. Generally, these are the issues. I mean, in terms of the gap that we have in Africa, in Nigeria currently, and we have about 37% of arable land that has not. I mean, almost 40% of our arable land that has not been cultivated. So, what is this saying to us? I think we need to begin to look inward. We need to begin to look inward. The insecurity in Nigeria currently is not unconnected to the level of poverty. It is more of an economic issue than it is political or otherwise. So we need to begin to look inward at what we can do, and some of the things we can do. Of course, I think we'll be able to look into it in the course of our conversation because we have great potentials. So look at the gap alone. To close this gap requires a lot of hard work, and active engagement of all stakeholders. Like there was a proposal that says it's a Maputo, they call it Maputo proposition, that every in Africa, every government budgetary allocation should be above 30, it should be between 30% and above for agriculture. And in Nigeria, the percentage of our budget to what is meant to be is so poor. Like, I think our agricultural budgetary allocation, as a whole, the percentage is about 1.8% of the total budgetary allocation. That's to tell us that there's something wrong. So we need active engagement of all stakeholders to pull heads together and do something that will address the challenges. We have there are challenges with transportation, but there are challenges with uh, food production. I mean, the core production in terms of input, in terms of that's input, that's the seedlings and other best practice uh, techniques that should be employed. These are challenges. Infrastructural challenges are there. We're talking of power, talking of road access, good road, because those are the things that makes you can't even. Sometimes when you have uh, uh, harvest, the post-harvest loss can account for about 60% of your total harvest. Why? Because they can't move the goods from from the farm to the market because of poor road. Talking of infrastructure, you're talking of storage. These are areas that all stakeholders begin to come together, not selfishly, but active. That's why I use the word active, active engagement. So to address some of these challenges.
Wow. Thank you very much for that, sir. Sir, like you said in the discussion, that we need the stakeholders to actively participate before we can be able to meet up with the present demand. So I would like to ask you that, like we had last week during the live interactive session, our guest speaker was like, "Oh, young minds can also go into agribusiness. They can venture into agribusiness." And I was like, okay, what do you think? In which way can they come in? In which way can they start? How can they put in their efforts? Because for how long will we continue to wait until stakeholders intervene? So, for young minds out there, for people out there who are also interested in, they are so interested in venturing into agribusiness, what will be your suggestion? What will be your advice for them? How can they come in? Or should we continue to wait until stakeholders intervene?
Okay, that's a very very good question. Thank you for that question. And I will also posit that young agriculture has no age barrier, and it is very very of course it's very important that young people should know. Well, because in Nigeria of today, the active population, the youth population is the most. We have we are like the largest and the most active, and there's no this is the best time for the youth to even get on board. And one thing, agriculture in the past, if you ask me, even when I was growing up, if you ask me that do I want to be a farmer, trust me, I will tell you no, because the way I see farmers, then because I grew up in a remote uh, town, not the remote town that, of course, you get to see these farmers. You know how they fare. You know how some of them even they can trek long distance to get to their farms, and you see them with cutlasses, hoes, these traditional implements. So, if you ask me, do I want to be? It is there's it's agriculture in those days, or where that we knew is synonymous to poverty. It's synonymous to poverty directly, proportional. I know it was just that when you see a farmer, you see a poor person. However, that is like the opposite of what should be. What should be is not what we are seeing. If you go to developed nations like the US, like Japan, like you see farmers are the richest, they are the wealthiest. But the reverse is the case here. When you so when you ask an average young person that do you want to be a farmer, until lately, until recently that we get to see, because of knowledge and technology and some of the things that has really helped us to put the message out there, just like a webinar like this, because without programs, webinars, and interviews like this, the message will not go out. Some people will still think, if you still ask someone that, oh, do you want to become a farmer, or you like farming? You'll say no, God forbid. So someone will even say God forbid. Can you imagine? However, agric is just like you asking someone, do you want to be a manufacturer? That's what it means. That's the way it should sound to someone. They say, oh, would you like to manufacture something? And that's because that's what a farmer does, is a producer. So young people should step into agriculture. And one of the that's what we're talking about catalysts and drivers for agriculture. Our ability to increase smallholder productivity is one of the keys. Our ability to increase their productivity in terms of input, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of markets, how these people see agriculture as a process that eventually translates to good economic development. These are the things that we need to begin to work on, so that the youth will know that we are not, you are not here to waste your time. You are not coming into that space to waste your time. We are not inviting you. We are not telling you to step into the agricultural space to waste your time. So one of the key is to increase the productivity of the smallholder farmer. So how can a man with 1 acre of land, leased land or bought acquired land, be able to make the most of that unit, and can, with best practice, with the right knowledge, can now increase his capacity over time? And that is how you crush poverty. And that is how you make your society a better place. So the youth should begin to see it not as, because now, when you begin to tell youth about farming or agriculture as a whole, and you begin to tell them about hoe and cutlass, they will run away. They will rather go and take Okada, or what you call bike, that we call Okada here, that, to make money, because what they're looking for is how to make money. However, with agriculture, there's a marriage of empowerment, that is money making, and impact. So I will really encourage the youth, and they don't have to cut corners. All they need to do is to start from somewhere. And the first thing they need to do is to acquire the knowledge. So they need to meet the consultant, our mommy here, and all the team, and let them put them through. Get the knowledge, know what to do first. Then you can now decide that, okay, what is the which one is most cost effective? Which one is cost effective for me to start with? Or am I going to start with crop production? Am I going to start with animal husbandry, where you have the livestock, you can step into all of these things. They all have their minimal scale that you can start with. But with best practice, I emphasis on best practice now. That is how you can get it right. Of course, best practice includes good management. So I will really encourage you to step into the agricultural space by first seeking the knowledge and making the most of the knowledge, because knowledge that is not applied is a waste. It is a waste. So, of course, how can we increase productivity? Input is key. Input is key. So we are using crop production as our case study. Get the right fertilizer mix. Get the right inputs, improved seedlings. So these are the things that I believe will help our youths, will encourage them. Of course, the government also have a lot to do, have a part to play in terms of um, like what I said earlier about budgetary allocation, then also reducing interest rates on investment, agro investment. So because agriculture it touches all other sector of the economy. It touches finance, because there's agri financing. It touches even the environment, because you have to also look at the impact of your production process. So these are the things that we need to get our youth educated on, and of course, let them know that it's not something to run away from, but something to run to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really a detailed response. Okay, to all our viewers out there, and to those who are just joining the conversation, our guest speaker today is Mr. Oladayo Ogunseye, and he is a business strategist and a passionate entrepreneur. He plays practical investment management and advisory role in the formation and risk assessment of several brands. He is an economist with broad knowledge in energy and commodity trading, business risk analysis, and new venture creation. Sir, I discovered you've helped lots of businesses, helped lots of series of companies with their startups. So, and I think from our discussion last week, someone reached out to me, and she asked me, okay, she's really interested in agribusiness, but she has an issue, which is finance. Sir, what advice would you give to someone like that who is really interested in agribusiness, in anything agriculture, but she's really limited with she's limited with she's really worried and she has these financial concerns? How will you advise people like that, people in our shoes?
Thank you. I say I'm smiling a bit because I if you ask a lot of people about about their challenges in business, one of the key things they will tell you is financing. Uh, of course, someone will tell you, that was the time I was I was doing a lot of stakeholder engagements. I would speak to people from diverse backgrounds, talking about startups, talking about, okay, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this? The only thing I hear most times is, "Ah, there's no capital." That's the word they use. That's like it's like a song where people say, there's no capital. They will use the word capital. Then I will begin to laugh and say, "Oh, okay, capital. What's this capital issue? What is capital? What is capital? And people have forgotten that there's something called human capital too. you know, and and I for someone like that lady or the man, I don't know if it was a lady or for someone like that, what can help a passion is not just the financing. Hmm? I think what I would advise is from my own experience. Of course, if you ask me, was there anything? How did you start? How did I start? I start, okay, I can't tell you that I started with. There's this maybe my father gave me money or I had. No, what I started with was what the first thing was what she has already. That's the passion. I mean, identifying the need, identifying the need first. That's the first thing for every entrepreneur. First, identify the need. Then, once you identify the need, you go for knowledge. You go for knowledge. Okay, you already know that you want to step into agribusiness, and you already have a space. You have seen you have identified a gap, right? Okay, you discover that there's no snail. I mean, there's scarcity of snail in this local area. Okay, can I if I step into snail farming? Oh, I think I will make the most of my time. Of course, I will be solving a problem. I'll be solving a problem of um, for snail lovers. At the same time, I'll be making profit. But that is what she should be looking for now. Is not the financing. Of course, financing is very important. because we'll get to that. What she needs to look for now is the knowledge. She should arm herself. Arm yourself with the requisite knowledge. Know everything about what you want to do. Get details, the minutest details of what you need. That is the place of research and development. Do all the research. You may not get it all at once, but ensure that you have enough knowledge that can attract financing. It will interest you that financing is actually attracted in the business space. It's not something you seek. It's what you attract. Just like respect is not what you get,
You
you earn it.
earn.
So financing is earned. Yeah, I don't know if you get my point. There is a level of sacrifice that you have put into what you are doing. I can tell you, and you receive a lot of no's. Don't be deterred. Don't be discouraged. A lot of people will tell you no. They'll tell you no. Some will even tell you yes and will tell you no later. you know, there is not just no. There are some yes and no. That is a yes, then a no. Then at that point, some people get discouraged. What is this about? I could recall there was a project I was working on. I was bent on building one of the largest piggery in the whole of the FCT area in Abuja, Nigeria. And I've marked myself with all the knowledge, everything that is required. I've traveled, I've gone to a college to go and understudy how they are doing it. That's the only college that has an hybrid piggery farm in Nigeria. I mean, full blown foreign breed and local breed, everything in one place. So I went there, I understudied what they're doing, I came back with the knowledge, and along the line, I attracted an investor. I said, okay, I'll bring the money and I'll be a percentage stakeholder in your business, and I'll also provide the land. That's how much he was engaged on the project. Along the line, okay, so what he brought was the financial resource. I brought all the other resource in terms of manpower, intellectual resource, and all that. Then, and that was worth it. And we started building, started putting the infrastructure. My sister, along the line, I think it's a family challenge. I think maybe the dad just got angry at, or someone was angry at him. Yeah, I think his source was his parent. So he just got this thing, and that was they just stopped supplying the funds, the financial resource. They just stopped supplying the funds to challenging that. So, and for me, what can I do in that case? I had to look at the whole project and say, oh boy, what is the meaning of this? How do we? And it happens. So in that case, that did not discourage me. That the project is still there, is still there. But if you ask me, has that really discouraged me? No, it has encouraged me more. It only showed me that what I believe in, what I'm doing is actually good and it will pay off. Because if it's not good, someone will not buy into it. So, and at the end of the day, it's a blessing to me because I've learned on that project. I learned on it, even though we're not able to conclude then. But of course, the vision still remains the same. The only thing is that the channel to where we are going to get to that can be different. So now it is easy for me to even turn and even begin to do something else without relying on that financing that was made available. So what I'm saying is, and this happened in the pace of, I'm talking between 20, oh, that was like 2016, 2017. That's about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So, and sometimes you can wait that long. Just keep working on yourself, keep working on your product, on your project. Work as if there is money. So what an entrepreneur, a startup builder, or like that lady, for instance, what she should be thinking about now is there's money. Let her have an imaginary fund somewhere. So she begin to allocate. In economics, we believe in allocation. So she begin to allocate these funds. This is what you put here. This is what she wants to put here. And by the time she's done putting this together, that's what you begin to you now call a business plan. She's done allocating. She's done getting. I mean, it's like getting the business right before the business starts. And that's not to say that there won't be challenges. Of course, also make provision for the challenges that will come. Because we keep strengthening that, then you can get a good team. You can get a good team, people that believe in your vision, work together. I mean, you have to work with people of like minds, not because there are teams and there are teams. So you have to. So for someone like her, she just needs to begin to work on her project as like the money is already in the bank, and I can assure her at the right time, when she's holding the project in her mind visibly, and it's very visible, the project will attract the right finance to it. Yes.
Wow. Wow, this is really very helpful. It's really very helpful to as many people out there, as many young people out there, many bright minds out there who are trying to get into one agribusiness or the other. Thank you very much for that response, sir. Sir, I would also like to ask that in general, I mean, Africa at large, we presently we know what our problem is. Even in Nigeria, we know what the problem is. Sir, you were saying it the other time. You were stating some of the things, some of the growth catalysts that can really help. Sir, are there other things that we really need to look into? I mean, Africa at large, even Nigeria as a country. Are there other growth catalysts that we need to meet up with the present demand of food security in the country, in Nigeria, and even in Africa at large? Because in fact, I discovered that most of these countries are complaining they have issues with food, malnutrition, and other related issues. So, sir, I would like to ask you if there are other things that should be put in place. There are other things that we all can do, or there are other things that the government should do, stakeholders, I don't know. What are these growth catalysts? What are these things that needed to be put in place as individuals? Because I know and I strongly believe that, yes, the starts with us. It starts with me. It starts with you. I want to ask you, sir, that okay, what are the roles that we need to play as individuals before we start talking about the roles the government needs to play? What are these growth catalysts? What are the things we need to know? What are the things that should be in place to meet up with this present demand for food security? Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, thank you. It's very interesting to know that there's no one size fits all solution. There's no one size fits all. However, we during our conversation, I mentioned some of the catalysts that we believe. Then, of course, I was studying a report or a McKinsey report recently. I think I had some. I discovered that to really address these drivers, the things that can drive growth, we have to look at the demand side and the supply side, and the supply side. So now, when we talk about the demand side, we must invest in farmer engagement. I don't know if I mean, we must engage in. we, I mean, we have to be intentional about it. We must invest in farmer engagement. Then on the supply side now, we must innovate on our way to the markets. When you make a demand, you are making a demand on the farmer's productivity, right? You're making a demand on the farmer's productivity. And so that is why I said we must invest. One of the key driver now is investing in engaging the farmers productively. And that comes with boosting productivity through access to inputs. When you have when you have put all the knowledge together and everything, now you begin to think, how do I make the smallholder farmer more productive? Let's begin from that end. Now, before we now start talking about the action point, the action or the inaction of government or whatever they need to do. So let's talk about how we can invest in farmer engagement as organizations, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as startups. Let us look at how we can improve on input access. That is, if you put 10 times the fertilizer that is necessary, so if what is necessary to boost yield is 10 times fertilizer, for instance, and you are using 2 times, you are not going to get the yield until you come to that 10 times. Now, also, how about the seedling? Improved seeds. Are you the handling, the preservation? How do you handle these seeds? There are seeds that cannot you can't expose, you can't even touch them with bare hands because of the sensitivity. And of course, because there's no best practice, some smallholder farmers they just grab it and they just handle it anyhow because they don't even know. Because they don't know. And it will interest you that a lot of people don't even know because we don't contend for knowledge. I submit to you that I mean it's painful. Some of us I didn't study agric in school, but the little knowledge, the little exposure I have, sometimes it saddens me to see how people, even people that you think they should know, don't even know. So we need to boost productivity. The next one is okay. Okay. Let me see. I think I have something on demand. How we can make the most of this demand side of production. And the best way to do all of this thing is to get stakeholders involved. Then let me another driver is we need to enable growth through access to credit. I mean, very important. It's very important that an average farmer have access to credit. Credit, not just money. Because when you say credit, people will start thinking, money. Oh, it's about money. No, access to credit could be credit in input supply. It could be credit and implement access, access to implement. So if a farmer knows that I don't need to break a bank to engage a tractor, a handheld plow, or an harvester or something, it will increase productivity. There will be better yield. A planter. So if you have access to a planter at a subsidized rate or on credit, so access to credit will help them grow. It will drive productivity automatically. And of course, we need to enhance profitability through access to markets. So, and access to market has diverse um, trajectory to it in terms of infrastructure. When you are done with harvest, post there's something we call post harvest management. Out of storage, out of storage. These are infrastructures. How do you preserve these things? Because there are some produce that before you shout hallelujah, they are bad. They will just start going bad. They will just go bad. So how do you how do you take care of these things? These are things that I believe, of course. And of course, lastly, on the drivers. Now I've talked about how we can increase productivity, and the key word is increasing productivity in smallholder farmers. Then how do we increase this productivity? We have to do that by through access to input. We boost that access to input. Then we also enable growth through access to credit. That is, it could be finance, it could be through fertilizer. You can create systems. You can create. That's what technology has done to us. You can create a wallet system. I remember the former minister of agri, who is now the AFDB president, Dr. Adeshino, introduced that wallet system when he was in the office. I don't know how they manage the whole process now, but of course we know Nigeria there is no continuity. So we have some of these issues that need to be addressed so that when we have innovative ideas coming, or especially with payments, because payment is another challenge, and that's why I said access to market. Access to market, we need to really address. That is how to boost profitability. I talked about productivity, I talked about growth, and I talked about profitability. So it is when there's productivity that growth is visible, and when growth is visible, profitability is possible. So profit is possible when there's growth. And the only thing that brings about growth is access to credit, not necessarily cash, but credits as a whole. Then, of course, access to markets is very key. So the youth, all of us, including yours truly, we need these things to really to make the most of our assignments in the agri space. So, and when you are thinking of agriculture, not just it is not just food. Agri cuts across even medical sciences, because every most of the the raw materials in medicine are planted. It cuts across. It cuts across. So, and that's why it is very, very important. Of course, it is the Bible days. They are agrarian. It was an agrarian economy they were running. So I think we need to go back because the end is near. So let us let's begin to go back to the basis. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. It's really been an interesting conversation with you today. I really enjoyed every bit of it, and the one that really struck me most is the issue of preparing your mind for whatever you want to do. Don't wait until you have enough cash. Don't wait until you have the funds. Don't wait until someone gives you the fund. Get knowledge, update yourself,
Sure.
upgrade yourself, have the develop the passion for what you have chosen, and this will in turn attract. It will You can earn the funds even with that. It's really a great point. Thank you very much for this privilege, sir. Uh,
Thank you so much.
I also
I'm
believe
happy. I'm
strongly.
delighted.
I believe strongly that our viewers out there will also have one or two things to take home with from this conversation. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. God bless
Thank you
you.
for having me.
And to all our viewers out there, I think it's a convenient time. It's high time we call this conversation off. And till I come your way again next week Sunday with another guest speaker, stay tuned and keep watching Jinsei Matters with Roy. Thank you very much, Mr. Dayo Ogunseye. We really appreciate you. God bless you richly. And for now, I
Thank you for
say
having us. Thank you.
bye, everyone.